All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to Small Streamer Diaries. It's been a little bit since the last episode, but we're back. This is episode 31, and for this episode, I have my friend Will here. Will's Got Games. How are you, Will?
Hey, I'm doing very well, doing good. It's
Good.
still kind of juiced up from the conference a bit. So, oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, the conference in question is actually what we're going to talk about today. So, Will has been on the podcast before. So, if you guys want to learn more about him, he does an intro in the other episode, which was actually the episode, well, not the episode before this, because that was like a solo episode, but the last time I had a guest, it was Will. And that was actually the episode, if you remember, Will, you had said to me when we met last year at VidSummit, well, after VidSummit, I guess, but we were talking about Twitch and YouTube and stuff. And Will said to me, I think that Twitch is for amateurs and YouTube is for professionals. And I was like, oh, that's such an interesting statement. So that's what the podcast episode is named, is Twitch is for amateurs, YouTube is for professionals. And we just talked about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I guess that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my channel actually has changed a little bit since then, more than I was focusing a lot on sports games.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, then
And then,
let's do a reintroduction of yourself then.
okay,
Please
all
go
right.
ahead, introduce yourself and your channel. What's it like now?
So the channel is I do more RPGs now. More story-based games, more relaxing, uh, um, meaningful, full character connections, I guess you would say. I do like my sports games still, but they were getting very repetitive for me, and yeah, it's like I got to make a change with the games that I'm doing. I got to enjoy this more, and RPGs is where my
Yeah,
heart lies. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. All right, guys. So please check out Will's channel. I will have it linked in the description. Okay, so as I said, me and Will first met at VidSummit last year. So, which was around this, no, it was like October. It was like October last year.
Yeah.
And we met actually a little bit after VidSummit. VidSummit was over last year, but somebody who had attended VidSummit set up a meetup on the day after VidSummit ended that both me and Will went to, and that's how we met. So this year we both attended VidSummit again. It was literally just last week. So today is September 13th at the time of recording. So VidSummit was last week. So we both really love VidSummit. We both learned a lot from VidSummit. So I wanted to do an episode about our takeaways and what we learned, our experiences, because a lot of people are interested in like, what is VidSummit like? Like, I had a vlog last year of VidSummit, and I had some people come up to me this year at VidSummit and be like, hey, oh, I know you, I watched your vlog on VidSummit, because I was looking for people's experiences with VidSummit, and there isn't really a lot of people who like talk about what going to VidSummit is like. Like, there's not a lot of videos on YouTube about like, what is it like to be at VidSummit. Okay,
I
so
ran into that problem myself
yeah,
as well.
me
In
too.
my first year, I was like, well, I like to know what I'm expecting a little bit, at
Right.
least just an outline, not just a sizzle reel that was on the website. And it was tough. I ended up finding somebody that went like 2018 or something like that video. And I was like, I guess I can get somewhat of an idea. It was like one of the very early days. But there aren't many reviews, I guess you would say, or anybody talking much about it.
Yeah, I my first VidSummit was last year, and I only found one vlog. And VidSummit has been put on for like, I think this was like its 11th year.
Yeah,
And
it is.
yeah, and I could only find one vlog. So last year would have been its 10th year. So it's been put on for 10 years. And I also wanted to know what to expect, and I only found like one vlog, one like full vlog. I found some stuff where it was like little stuff, like just mentions of VidSummit and stuff like that, but not like a full like all 3 days. What was your experience like at VidSummit thing? Okay, so we're going to talk about VidSummit. So first question, Will, how was your VidSummit?
It was shocking.
Oh, yeah.
It was, yeah, it was. It really was.
What do you mean
My
by that?
so last year, I guess let's rewind to my first year. In my first year, had a whole schedule of who I was going to sit down and watch and see, and I made one connection, but I seen everybody that I thought was going to be somewhat informational for me. So when I went back last year, I only knew one person, and I was like, oh, maybe I should focus more on networking.
Mm.
And I thought I did a lot of good networking and connecting. Because I think those are two different things. I think networking has more of like a business sense to it, where connecting has more of a friendship sense to it. And I thought that I had some good conversations with many people. But going back this year, it was a an eye opener on how well just speaking with networking and connecting with people really worked. My wife went with me this year. Shout out to her, huge help. And we were just walking by, and there'd be a table that was eating, like, "Hey, Will, come over here." And it was, oh, and I remembered a lot of the faces. I'm pretty bad with names, and to see that actually making the connections and those opportunities to sit down and speak with people over the talks. Now, I didn't ignore the talks. I still went to quite a few. But to see that that actually translate a year later, and actually I haven't spoke to these people since,
Mm.
but to see that translate a year later to, hey, how's it going? And it wasn't just like, hey, your content's awesome. It was a genuine, hey, how are you doing as a person, which was really cool. So to see both sides of that, I think was pretty awesome. And
Cool.
yeah,
So, what was
I hope
your
that answered.
yeah, yeah. So, what was your biggest takeaway from VidSummit?
um, my biggest takeaway from VidSummit is that even in that big of a crowd, because it was big this year, it was about 3,000 people. Um, it's okay to be vulnerable. And being vulnerable with yourself is um, sometimes that little bit of release that you need to make your next step forward. And being there was this year just taking everything in, being so grateful and thankful for every opportunity, um, meeting certain people that were able to at least guide me or point me in the right direction to different projects and different types of content, and then just being honest and vulnerable with myself, like hoping things would work out in certain ways, and then seeing how it actually does. Um, when you don't fight the universe and you just kind of go with it.
Hmm.
If I know that's a bit deeper
That
than
is very
than a
deep.
lot. But that was my big takeaway this year, just being there. And I didn't go to a lot of talks, but every talk that I went to, um, especially like Sean Durst's talk with his daughter there on that second day, it was just so heartwarming. It was just so genuine. It wasn't much that like I took away. And they said a lot. Like there was a lot to take from that talk, but it was just the connection and just the genuine connection with him and his daughter, and having fun and doing those things. It really makes you kind of sit back and appreciate little things in life again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot deeper than what my answer would have been. Like, because people were asking me at VidSummit, like, what was your biggest takeaway? And I was like, use AI, because like AI was a very big topic at VidSummit this year, which I didn't realize it would be such a big topic. And I mean, I use Chat GPT, but that's about it. I don't really use any other AI tools. But a lot of speakers at VidSummit were talking about how AI is the future. Like you need to start using AI now. And I was like, oh.
Yeah,
So I was like, oh, that was my biggest takeaway. Use AI.
yeah. AI it's here, and um, it's been here for a while, but it's just this past 18 months really that it's in such a fast, rapid growth.
Hmm.
And it really is. If you're not incorporating AI into what you're doing, any type of business, um, quickly, you're going to be left behind. I, the way I describe AI to people is AI is to us now what the internet was to us back in the early 90s.
Hmm.
That's how big of a breakthrough it is. And you see how much civilization has changed from no internet to today. And that I think is going to be the technological growth between for AI with AI for us today.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't looked into what AI can do, you really should because it is insane what AI can do these days. Like, I can't even imagine what it's going to look like in a few years.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
you like can't even tell what's real and fake anymore.
Yeah. Was it maybe 3 years ago? There was a video of an AI generated video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. And it was just so goofy and horrible looking. It's like his head was like flopping around.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was very humorous. And now you have AI make a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti, and it's just as you said, it looks so real, you don't know it's not him.
Yeah.
You know, no pun intended with my name. But
All right, so
AI is,
this was your third VidSummit?
yes, this is my third.
Okay. So how would you say this one was compared to your first one?
Um, Growth wise, it was the best.
Hmm.
Um, Entertainment value, second best. And what I mean by that is just like with connecting with people. It's just so big. They sold out 6 hotels.
Six?
Six
Oh my
hotels
God.
was the final count of completely sold out. So who knows if another one was like half sold, but it was 6 hotels. Where my first one in LA, it was one hotel. It was about 2,000, 2,500 people, one hotel. And that was awesome. It was because everybody was there. Um, so when it came to like the entertainment value, you know, the restaurant didn't close down. There was always somebody at the pool. There was always just something going on. It was you had a bunch of creators just hanging out in one place.
Hmm.
So it was pretty cool, you know, and they're being themselves because it wasn't as for all of you who don't know, VidSummit is a creator conference. It's not like VidCon where it's our TwitchCon where it's fans there with creators. It's a workshop type of conference for creators to improve their brand and their company. Just to for that. So people were just sitting back being themselves. It wasn't like, hey, showing off for camera. And it was just fun and genuine times. This year, it was the way I grew, how much I've grown, just learning and being able to meet certain people and the opportunities that presented themselves was probably the most useful. But each year I went in with a different mindset. I think had a different factor on that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, like my first time was last year, and I definitely felt a lot more comfortable talking to people this year. Like I was definitely a lot more bold and just like talking to people that I didn't know. Like last year, I really didn't talk to that many people because I think, your first time, it's like it's overwhelming, it's intimidating, especially if you're a small creator. And because like there are some really big creators that go there.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh yeah, you can learn a lot of things, and there's no limit on things that they. Just because you're a big creator, for instance, the AI, it doesn't mean that you're. It's something that we're all learning. You know.
mhm.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. And no, feel free to interrupt anytime. So, I mean, the creators there, I mean, you'll have creators there that have like hundreds of thousands, millions of subscribers. But like Will said, it's not a fan con. It's a creator to creator conference. That's how they describe themselves, creator to creator. And everyone will just treat you like you are a creator of their size. Like no matter how big you are and no matter how big they are, they will just treat you like a creator of their size. So
Yeah, it's very
like
welcoming.
yeah, and like last year I would have been too intimidated to talk to big creators like that. But this year I just like felt a lot more comfortable talking to people. I made so many more connections, and I've talked to some of the speakers. I mean, and the speakers are like definitely, you know, at least in the hundreds of thousands subscribers range. And I was talking to one speaker, Daniel Batal, and if you guys don't know him, you should look him up. He's awesome.
Great.
He
If you
does,
need any, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, he does a lot of, he does like video editing tutorials, and he's just like a really nice guy. So I just walked up to him and started talking to him. And he was asking me about my channel, and you know, of course, he had no idea who I was, but he was like, he started asking me about my channel, like, what kind of channel do you do? And I told him like, oh, I do gaming, I do live streams and shorts mostly. And he was like, oh really, you do shorts? He was like really interested in that. And he was like asking me about my shorts and like how I do my shorts, and like I was showing him my channel, and he started just like giving me advice on my channel. And I mean, I didn't ask him for advice, right? Like, cause like when you're like a small creator and you're talking to a big creator, you don't want to like, you don't want to come off like you just want stuff from them. You don't want to like ask them for anything, because you don't want them to feel like you're just coming up to them asking them for stuff. And which is not what I intended to do when I went up to Daniel. I just like wanted to talk to somebody because I wasn't talking to anybody at the moment, and I was just like, I just went up to him and started talking. And he's
Yeah, I met him 2 years ago in LA, the last year in LA.
oh yeah,
And I mean, he sees so many faces, like
yeah,
I doubt he remembers. And he talks to so many people because he is genuine like that. And that, oh, not the same thing, but very similar things happen. You know, we sat there and I want to say for like 45 minutes. And it
hmm
was a group of us. It wasn't just him and I, but yeah, I mean, him and I were conversing on, my channel, the things of improvement. Because again, that was my very first, VidSummit. And I was so scared to talk to anybody. And the next thing I know, and I didn't know anybody. Like, and it's not, as you mentioned earlier, Rebecca, it's not, oh, I'm a bigger channel than you, and snub away. That's not the vibe that's at VidSummit. The first year I heard a lot of people ask, how many subscribers do you have, to almost like a social standard, I guess you would say. But the past 2 years, I haven't even heard anybody ask. I've been at tables with people who have way more subscribers than me, and I was able to get advice from them and give some advice to them, and not even knowing, anything, what subscriber count or anything that they had. It was just two creators sitting there, kind of bouncing ideas off the heads, and it never came up of, oh, how big are they or how small are they, you know.
yeah. And you know, like at this Vid Summit, if somebody asked you what your subscriber number is, it's like for it's for a different reason. It's not to see like how big you are so they can see if you're worthy of their presence. It's like to
Yeah,
see how you're doing with your, like Daniel asked me how many subscribers I had, and then like how old my channel was. Like he wanted to see what my growth was
yeah,
like.
calculate growth. Yeah,
Yeah. So like this Vid Summit, like they may ask you your subscriber number, but it's not like for a reason for,
I think
like
that's a big difference between LA and Dallas, though.
yeah, yeah.
I do, because there are, you did have a lot of it's easier to go to a conference like that when you're local. So there was a lot of local creators there. So maybe that's the difference between LA and Dallas.
I've never been to LA, but from what I hear about LA, I wouldn't be surprised.
So you asked me this, now I want to ask you, what was your biggest takeaway? Like the thing that you walked away with the most, other than AI?
Other than AI,
Yeah.
um, talk to people. I mean, because I talked to so many more people than last year, and um, oh, okay. Oh, I got a good one. Okay, not just talk to people, but follow up with people. Like, sometimes people are not always going to come to you or initiate like conversation with you afterwards. Like, if you meet people at VidSummit and you want to stay in touch with them, you want to do collaborations with them, things like that, um, you should reach out to them if they're not reaching out to you. Like, go follow them on their socials, like add them on Discord or whatever, Steam or wherever. Like, I met this guy um, when we were at lunch on Thursday. So me and Will and like a whole group of people went out to lunch at on the Thursday of VidSummit, and I sat next to this guy that I had just met at lunch, and his name is Steve. He was really really cool, and we started talking about his channel. He does a channel on um, like tech careers. Like, he was a software engineer at Amazon for 18 years, and he just left his job to go full time on YouTube. He's such a nice guy. He's super cool. So I will also link his channel in the description. His channel is called A Life Engineered, and his whole channel is about like giving advice to people about their careers in like the IT or tech industry. And he started talking about like how he wanted to do a podcast, and I was like, oh, I love podcasts. I was like, you should come on my podcast, and he was like, yeah. And but when you say that to people, it's like people are, of course, they're going to be like, oh yeah, sure. Like, they're not going to be like, no thanks, most of the time. But like when he got up to leave, he was like, hey, like, reach out to me about the podcast. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. So I get home and I start like looking him up, and like I added him on Discord. And it's like, you want to make yourself known to those people that you're talking to. Like, it's not just like hi conversation and then like you never speak again. Like, you want to like follow up with them. You want to like make yourself known to them. You want to interact with their content and with their accounts and everything. So like make like a real connection with them.
Yeah, because I'll say I probably met uh, around 1,000 people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many people. I mean, just from a quick, hey, how's it going? What's your channel about? To sitting down and having a couple-hour conversation with them, or hanging out with them for a night, and everything in between. There's just so many people. I left with so many different business cards. But yeah, reconnecting and retouching base with them because they met just as many people as you, and we're humans. That's a lot of things to remember and stuff. So yeah, touching base is definitely a good one.
Yeah, and I mean, if you meet people you want to stay in touch with, like, you make sure that you connect with them in some way, because like not everybody at VidSummit is there for a YouTube channel. Like, a lot of people don't even have YouTube channels, and they're there for their work or their business, and it's not their own YouTube channel. It's like their company's YouTube channel, or it's not even a YouTube channel. Sometimes it's like a company that works with a lot of people who have YouTube channels, or works with a lot of brands that do YouTube channels. So it's a lot of like business and marketing people as well, and they don't even have. I connected with a lot of people on LinkedIn because they did not have YouTube or Twitter. Well, I'm sure they have a YouTube account, but like not to connect with people on, like, they just watch videos. But like they didn't have like Twitter, Instagram, Discord, like all of those things. So I connected with them on LinkedIn.
That was something I noticed more this year as well. That there was a lot more, and this is in a good way. There were a lot more business and side of
Yeah.
people there than the past 2 years. The past years have definitely been creator, but this year definitely way more business people, and that's a great thing too because that's where I guess I don't want to speak for myself, but that's where I don't want to say struggling, but that's where I need the most help in because YouTube is a business. Being a content creator is a business. And when you're doing business, the business end of it, the creating end of it, the social end of it, you definitely want somebody to step in and take some work off your plate and, or, meet somebody that can guide you in the way of making something easier too, like not even buying services. And that this year was definitely a lot of that, which is really
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like when you start a channel, when you start a YouTube channel or you start a Twitch channel and you want that to be your career, like that is a business. Like I definitely feel a lot of people don't have a business mindset going into it when they create these channels, and but they want it to be their career. And they, they're just like, well, oh, I just gotta go get lucky. That's all. Like, I just have to get lucky and blow up, go viral, and then people will just donate lots of money to me, and I'll just be set for life. And that's not how it works. Like,
Yeah.
it is a business. You're gonna have to make business decisions regarding your channel.
Coming from a heavy sales background myself, and then going into content creation, it was definitely, I didn't think how much business was going to be in it. And luckily, I come from a background of, sales and business. And so it definitely got me on track quicker than what a lot of people, I guess, would. But it still was that realization that, oh crap, this is a business. And having that mindset to look at it in that way, um, big time. And you weren't there. There was a talk, not a talk, but one of the event meetup things,
Mm-hmm.
the first day. And I met quite a few cool people actually in that meetup. And I was bringing up, like different things like, if you stream out of your home, you can get a percentage rate off of your um, like internet bill of, and stuff of that nature. And I don't want to get too much into, the numbers and stuff of that right now. But, a lot of people just didn't realize the stuff that you can, um, by looking at it as a business mindset, just things that you can do outside of just looking at it as a hobby mindset where those things will just kind of go past you and over you. So it's speaking about the business end definitely opens up a lot of eyes of um,
Yeah, and
looking at it that way.
yeah, and it's also stuff like that, but also things like doing the things that you think are best for your channel. So, you come from a sales background. I come from a background where, luckily, you come from a sales background. Luckily, I come from a background where I am just a very obsessive, intense person. So I've always taken my channel like very seriously. Like so many people, I cannot even tell you how many people think that I'm way too intense about my channel because they're like, it's just YouTube, Rebecca. Like, it's just a YouTube channel. But I take everything like super seriously. Like, you should watch TV shows and movies. I'm always pausing and being like, what? Why did this person say this? Why did this
I
happen?
hate to watch a movie with you.
Well, the point is I get very upset when I feel something is wrong in a show or a movie or a game. I get very upset, and people are like, Rebecca, like this is made up and it's not real. And I'm like, yeah, but it's wrong. Like I'm like a very intense person, so like from day one I've like always taken my channel very seriously. And I don't know if I've ever spoken about this, but I went from Twitch to YouTube, and that was like, that was also a business decision for my channel because, like, I was not growing on YouTube, and there was no discoverability there, and I was like, okay, I think on Twitch, and thank you for that catch because there is definitely lots of discoverability on YouTube. YouTube has the best discoverability there is. So I felt on Twitch there was no discoverability, that I wasn't growing, and so it was like a business decision to move my content to YouTube, and I started out like I had to start over, and a lot of people will not do that because they will tell me like I don't want to start over on another platform.
Yeah.
And okay, did you just see this? My background move? It's because my dog just crashed into it and wobbled around. Okay. I felt my desk wobble around. I felt my desk wobble around, and No, this is moving. Okay. All right. So, anyway, next question. What is your advice for people going to VidSummit the first time?
The advice for people going, oh, this is a great question.
Thank you.
Hopefully my answer is as good as the question is. The best advice for a first timer to VidSummit. Value the connections you make with people over the talks. If there's somebody that you would love to ask a question to that is speaking, definitely go to their talks, and that way you can maybe get the opportunity to ask that specific question. But in the end, you get the replays of all the talks. You can't replay the opportunity to meet somebody. So definitely focusing in on making connections and networking and making those relationships with people definitely outweigh the talks in that aspect. So don't get overwhelmed with how many speakers there are.
I completely agree. That's weird because like word for word, that is what I would have said because like you said, you get the replays and you can always go and watch the replays of the speakers. But if there is a speaker that you want to talk to directly, because one of the benefits of going to VidSummit in person, because you can buy the replays without going to VidSummit, you can just buy the replays, which are really cool. But one of the benefits of going in person is that you can talk to the speakers directly. Like they will make time at the end of their talks where people can line up and ask questions. And I mean, I don't always have time to get to everybody's question, but usually what happens is the speaker will hang out in the hallways afterwards to answer questions. So if you don't get your question answered in line, you can just walk up to them after the talk. Usually, I mean, sometimes if they're like super busy or they got to go to a different talk, like they have to go. But like, I've only seen that happen one time. All the other times I've seen the speakers just like hang out in the hallways and a whole group of people is surrounding them trying to ask them questions.
Yeah, but the opportunity to get in front of them, even if they don't, and even if you don't see them in the hallway or they're too busy in the hallway, even that opportunity to get up there in the microphone for the Q&A after the speak is definitely valuable. If it's a speaker you want to, that you have a question for. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, but I would say prioritize talking to people and networking, making connections over going to the talks. Like if there's a talk you want to go to, but you're making a connection at that time instead, like you're talking to somebody, like prioritize that over the talk. Like that happened to me at this VidSummit. Like I was going to go to that Shondora's talk that Will went to, but like somebody started talking to me and I just talked to them for like a really long time and I missed the talk. But I was prioritizing like making a connection because I could always go see the replay.
And also, as Rebecca mentioned, the replays are there, and if you didn't go to the conference, and like you can still go on the website and get replays for a fraction of the price of what the in-person ticket was. So I still think those are very useful. It would help definitely anybody coming up, because it goes back years and years and years and years of VidSummit talks. It unlocks for you. So
yeah,
those are not to give sort of shout out on there, but like it's very useful tool.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so what's something that surprised you about VidSummit?
How loud the music was at the after party. Okay, but in all seriousness, though,
it was really loud. Like it was uncomfortably loud.
Yeah. Other than that, my biggest surprise, honestly, my biggest surprise was how well those connections that I made the year prior, how they continued on to this year. That was actually probably my biggest surprise, especially not knowing much conference life, I guess you would say, up until this past year. when I started going to a lot more. I think that surprised me. Um, yeah, that's probably my biggest surprise.
Yeah.
Um, oh, and I jumped. So for all of you that don't know, I had knee surgery last year, actually 1 year ago. So I actually, for the first time in a year, I jumped. And that was because Shonduras was throwing a hoodie over my head. And I really wanted that hoodie. And I didn't think, I just went for it. But I was able to do it. So that was another big surprise.
Nice, nice. Yeah, so I have a story kind of similar to that, like being surprised that, your connections carried over to this year. So I have a fun story. So
Let's hear
m last year, I went to VidSummit like not knowing anyone. I mean, actually, I did know somebody, but like not as well because I didn't even know he was going to VidSummit. Like I followed him on Twitter, but I didn't know he was going to VidSummit. Like we didn't talk that much, and then we spent a lot of time together at VidSummit just because like we both didn't know a lot of people, and we became better friends after that. But like before that, I was like going in pretty much like alone. Like I had, my friend Viper, but he's an MC at VidSummit. He's busy. He can't just like hang out. So for those of you that don't know, at VidSummit, they have, I think, 4 MCs, and they help run the rooms that the speakers are in. So they help coordinate like the crowds and the lines for Q&A, and they also,
like
get to the yeah, like they get to the speaker. If the speakers are, the speakers have a certain amount of time to talk. So usually they want to go over their time because they have a lot of things to say and they're very passionate. So, the MCs will be like, all right, like wrap it up. Like we got to get to the next speaker. So they're kind of like coordinating the room. So one of my really good friends, Viper, he has been an MC at VidSummit for the past 4 years, I believe. So, I knew him, but, he's busy, he's working basically. So I really didn't know anybody. So I go there by myself last year. I'm standing in line by myself, and some guy, behind me in line starts talking to me. Um, and we'd like talk about our channels and stuff. And then I didn't see him again for the rest of that VidSummit. I didn't see him again. And then this year, he walks up to me. He's like, "Oh, Rebecca, it's me, it's Steven. Do you remember me?" I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah, you were the first." He was the first person I ever met at VidSummit in that registration line. I was like, "Oh my God, like you remember me?"
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that
And
a fun story?
it is literally just the small conversations too. That's really what surprised me. I'm glad that you mentioned that story because it wasn't the people that I spoke to for a couple hours last year. It was the people that I spoke to for maybe 20 minutes that were like,
Hmm.
"Hey, Will, how's it going?" And those connections were the biggest surprises to me. Obviously, you sit there and you talk to somebody for a couple hours, that's you're expected to have some sort of connection, but it was the quick introductions that really carried over, and I was able to expand on this year.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so what is something you wish you had known going into VidSummit? This is a thinking question.
Oh, it is. It's another good question. Um, ooh, okay. So, uh, I wish I knew to be more. That's what I'm looking for here. To me, be more patient,
Uh-huh.
to be more relaxed, to just kind of be myself. The first year that I went, I was so serious. It's a serious, you want to take your business serious. But I was just, as I said, I was just so serious with the scheduling everything out. I had printed schedule that I was following, and I wanted to, be as business as possible, and just relaxing and just, as I like to say, let it ride, let it ride.
Mm.
Um, if I had somebody tell me just relax and just kind of go with it and chat with people, don't don't stress yourself out if you miss something because it's okay.
Yeah.
That I honestly, that advice would have gone a long way.
Yeah. Well, I would say for me, what I had wish, what I wish I had known going to VidSummit is nothing. I mean, I think, even if somebody had given me a bunch of advice about going to VidSummit, like I probably wouldn't have listened. And there really isn't anything like experiencing it for yourself. Like people can tell you all the stuff that they want, but you really won't know. And this, I mean, this is with anything. It's not just with VidSummit, but like you really won't know what it's like until you experience it for yourself. And my experience at VidSummit last year, going in there like not really knowing anything, not really knowing anyone, is what made my experience this year. So, I mean,
Yeah,
for
you
me, I
definitely
think
have
it's,
to go and experience it.
yeah, yeah. And so I think, I don't really wish I had known anything, honestly.
Well, that's a very interesting answer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think thank you. I mean, you could have meant it in a bad way. I don't know. I'm sure
That's
that
not
you
no
did.
interesting. It's just interesting. It's in there in that gray zone. I know, I'm just joking. But yeah, it's
I mean,
that's
everyone's got different opinions.
oh yeah. I mean, you definitely did, hit the nail on the head. Like you have to go and experience it yourself because it doesn't matter the stories that we're sharing. It doesn't matter what things you see online. Uh, Being there is there's 3,000 people there and not a single person had the same exact experience.
Hmm.
That to me is wonderful. That to me, I think is so beautiful. Um, you just got to be there.
Yeah. And I mean, you will meet all kinds of different creators, like every single kind of content you will find. And you won't always make connections with people that are doing your type of content. You'll make connections like with every type of creator, which is actually really, really good for you because you're going to expand your network and your interests.
Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of people do you think should be going to VidSummit?
VidSummit's mostly going to help people who are open-minded and willing to accept new ideas. No matter how big or small your channel is, you have to go with an open mind and a readiness to at least learn or try something new. Um, those are the people who are going to get the most from VidSummit as well.
Yeah, because the speakers they will definitely challenge you to think about your content in different ways or your strategies in different ways. Like they'll just help you connect the dots and help you like think of things that you haven't thought of before and that you wouldn't have thought of if you didn't go and listen to their talks.
Yeah,
And
it could sometimes be the most simplistic thing after you hear it.
mhm,
Wow, you really just put the last piece to the jigsaw puzzle.
yeah,
Like it's wonderful.
yeah. And I also think, I think I said this last year in my VidSummit video, but I think, if you are serious about your channel, like if you take your channel seriously, I think it's definitely worth it for you to go to VidSummit. Um, I think, if you're somebody who's like, oh, I'm just doing my channel for fun. Like, I don't really care about growing or making money off of it. I don't think that you would get a ton of value out of VidSummit because it is very like, it's a business conference.
Yeah,
You're
it's
you're there to learn and it's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of fun too, but it's also very like mentally taxing with all of the
yeah,
things that you're trying to learn. Um,
yes,
so
definitely not for hobbyists.
yeah,
And I don't say that in any negative or bad way, but it's definitely not for
yeah,
hobbyists.
like it's not a bad thing if you want to be a hobbyist about your channel. If I mean, if if you are doing your channel just for fun, if you don't really care if it grows, like that's totally fine. It's just that you probably will not get a lot of value out of VidSummit.
Yeah,
Like,
especially with like the cost ratio to
yeah, it is very expensive, especially if you have to travel in. Like just the cost to go to VidSummit, that's already expensive. And then, you know, you got to do flight and hotel on top of it, you know, all the stuff you're going to buy, food, transportation, like, you know, any souvenirs or anything you want to buy. So it does get very expensive. Yeah.
Everything smells so good in Texas.
I know, right? And I will also say that all of the speakers at VidSummit, they are very driven people. Like they're very driven, intense people about YouTube and their channels or whatever they're talking about. They don't always talk about YouTube. Some of them are only talk about like a business topic or marketing topic or something. So I think VidSummit has definitely expanded into being like a all-encompassing YouTube and marketing and business conference. Like, I mean, I've only been there twice, but I think primarily it used to be just about YouTube. But now there's like so much like business and marketing stuff there as well.
It is mainly YouTube focused still.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, it has expanded. It's not just YouTube
Yeah.
at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of the speakers there, they're very like driven people. Like they're very like serious about their channels. So I think you would get the most value out of it if you take your channel seriously. Even if you started a channel today and you had 0 subscribers, but you took it seriously, you would still get value out of VidSummit. Like I met a lot of people that didn't even start YouTube channels yet, but they were planning to, but they were just very super serious people. Like they wanted to start their own business and they knew that, you know, YouTube is huge right now. Like more and more people are watching YouTube on their TVs. Like you'd be surprised how many people watch YouTube on their TVs. Like YouTube is like almost replacing TV these days.
I met a young lady at VidSummit, and she's a couple months into a coaching program for a channel she has not started yet.
Oh, wow.
Yes. But as you said, she's serious about it. So
Yeah.
she wants to do, you know, everything, learn everything and then start it up, which is a way to do it. I mean, there's no wrong. There's really no wrong way to start as long as you hit the record or the go live button. You know, that's the hardest part. But yeah, she doesn't have a channel up yet, but she said over a month into a coaching program for her channel, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
But she's taking it serious.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you do one of those coaching programs or you spend the money on VidSummit, like you want to make sure that it's going to be worth it to you.
Yeah, you don't want to just be like, maybe I'll get past this week with it because it's definitely for not the hobbyists.
Yeah.
Again, no offense to hobbyists. Hobbyists, we all love our hobbyists.
Yeah. But I mean, this episode is talking about VidSummit. So like, if you're interested in VidSummit, like know that it will be of value to you if you are taking your channel seriously and like a business. But if it's like a hobby for you, then I don't think you will find much value out of VidSummit.
But it's TwitchCon.
Right, or VidCon.
Sorry. That was the amateur to professional.
Yeah, well, I laughed.
I'm just
I mean, so like a lot of people, like I took the whole week off of work for VidSummit. I mean, VidSummit is Tuesday to Thursday, but Monday was a holiday for us, but I also took the Friday off. And so I took like the entire week off work just for VidSummit. And people at work were like, oh, go like have fun on your vacation. Or I had some people like, you know, my YouTube viewers or other people like that I knew from content creation. They're like, oh, have fun at VidSummit. And I'm like, well, you know, it's not really like for fun. You know, it is fun, but we don't like go for fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The fun is like you're baking a cake and you got that thin layer of icing on that cake. Like that's the fun.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch more to that cake than just that little bit of icing. And that's all work.
Yeah. I mean, it is a lot of fun, but it's just like I said before, it's very like mentally exhausting with like all the things you're trying to learn and all the ways that the speakers and the people that you meet, all the ways that they just like make you think about your content and your strategies, or even just like learning about them. Like it doesn't even have to be about you or your content, like just learning about them or their story. Like everybody's got a story. Everybody's story is like super interesting.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't matter if it's a sunshiny and daisy type
yeah.
of story, or if it's had to walk through some thorns to get to the sunshine type of story. Every story's there, and you can definitely learn something from each one of those stories. There's so many stories I got to hear at VidSummit this year that I was thankful to hear. It was a lot of people, and when I was talking about being vulnerable, it definitely seemed like there was a lot more people that were vulnerable this year and willing to share stories
Mhm.
than years prior.
Yeah. Yeah, and most of the speakers, they will share their origin story, so to speak. Like they'll talk about how they got started. And it is always like it's always so interesting to hear how somebody got started, especially when all the speakers are really, really big creators. And most of them didn't have connections or anything. Like they grew from like nothing. Like they didn't have any family or friends who are already like big YouTubers or whatever. Like they started a channel at zero and they grew it to like hundreds of thousands.
Like
Some of them have millions of subscribers.
Sean Duras was working at a skate shop,
Yeah.
like selling skateboards, and he took the step in there. It's the even the speakers have those just relatable times in the beginning that I think I'd say 95% of creators have.
Yeah. Yeah, Daniel Batal, he did talk with one of his. Oh, Daniel Batal also does like consulting, like YouTube and content creation consulting, like
I think
coaching
Da
one on one.
Vinci, what is that program that he uses? Da Vinci.
He does a lot of DaVinci
Something.
Resolve.
That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, I see a lot of his Da Vinci Resolve videos
Yeah,
myself.
yeah. He also does like one on one coaching, and one of his first clients was speaking at VidSummit too. They did a talk together. It was really, really good. And
I gotta watch that one.
oh, it's so good. So her name is Gabby, and she does like a makeup and beauty channel, and she was one of his first like coaching clients. And her channel now has more subscribers than Daniel's channel. But they anyway, so they were talking about their like origin stories, and Daniel Batal was a contractor, like he worked on houses, and he started a YouTube channel because his son wanted to like start a YouTube channel, and they started a YouTube channel to then they were doing like these like food challenges and stuff. And then eventually Daniel like branched off into doing his own YouTube channel, and it grew to like he's got over 300,000 subscribers now.
He's got a nice subscription base there.
Yeah.
Subscriber base, not subscription base. Big difference there.
Yeah.
Big difference.
So I think one thing that really helps me is just hearing where all these creators come from. Like everybody's got a story about how they got started and why they did a YouTube channel. And it just really helps to remind you that like everybody started at zero. So you see all these creators, like all these speakers with like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Some of them have millions of subscribers, but they all started at zero.
I before VidSummit, about a couple weeks before VidSummit, there's a buddy of mine. So he's like, man, I want to start streaming, but I want to get this going. I want this first. I want this. I said, dude, stop. I said, just hit go live. That's it. Just hit go live. That's all you gotta do. That's your beginning. And yesterday he finally hit go live and he went live. And then
Nice.
last night, while I was like, get over here, we're getting you on the stream now. Let's go. And we were playing some the Space Marines. And we're there and we're arguing sports back and forth. I mean, we're arguing how Matthew Stafford's. Anyways, that's not here or there. And he ended up getting his first follower because he was over on Twitch.
Nice.
His first follower last night. I said, "Oh, thank you so much." I said, and there it begins.
Yeah.
There you go. you are now a streamer. Congratulations. Well, he's a streamer beforehand, but it was just like that. There you go. You got your first one out the way. Now it's just keep up the work.
Yeah.
All it takes is hitting live, and they will come. If you build it, they will come. Right?
Yes. That comes from a great movie, by the way, Field of Dreams.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely like you just have to start, and once you start, you know, you might have a plan, but it might not always go according to plan. Like I didn't plan on going to YouTube, but that's what got me to where I am now. Like I really believe if I stayed on Twitch and I never went to YouTube, I would not have been at VidSummit either this year or last year, because going from Twitch to YouTube is such a huge part of my streaming and content creation journey. That's why I talk about it all the time, is because I really think that like where my channel is now and where I am now is as a creator is just because of that one move. So you know, once you start, you might find you're going to be doing something that you don't expect, but just see where it takes you. You never know. You never know what's going to happen.
I met with a guy yesterday, and I told him, I said, just because you have a plan, you can't think of it as, you know, you have this, everything you put down is what's going to happen. You have to be like a river. A river will cut a new path if it thinks it needs to, you know. That you see a river over 100 years, and it's definitely going to change courses and change paths. I said, sometimes you just got to cut a new way out. Be a river, man. And it was like, wow, okay, yeah, fair enough. Like, it's great to have those, like, this is what I want, and stick with that. But there are times where sometimes you just have to find a different way to get to your end goal.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes those end goals change.
Yeah.
Like you just don't know. Like my original goal was to be a Twitch partner, right? And obviously that didn't happen. I was only on Twitch for maybe 3 months. So I got Twitch affiliate, but I never got Twitch partner. But I have YouTube partner now. So thank you. So, you know, my end goal changed. Like, so, you know, you might have a plan, but just, you know, be open to new things and be adaptable. Like you just, like I say, you don't know what will happen. Like I wasn't, you know, I wasn't going to YouTube being like, oh, my evil plan is to get to VidSummit one day. Like I mean, I didn't know it would happen. Like I didn't know I would go to VidSummit, you know?
We all know that Queen Bloodthirsty does have some evil plans.
Oh boy. So for those of you that, if you haven't been to my streams, I'm nicknamed Bloodthirsty by some viewers. Shout out to GC, because I like to fight alone in my games a lot. I'm always looking for a fight. Like, oh my god, there's one time in Baldur's Gate where I went like 3 hours without a fight. I was like going insane. I was like, why haven't I fought anybody?
Like, all right, we got to find someone for Rebecca to take out. Picking random fights with strangers. You know?
So I specified in my games. I'm not doing it in real life. So, you know, if you see me at VidSummit, I'm not gonna like start a fight with you, okay? Like come talk to me at VidSummit.
But don't find her in a PvP game, because that might be a different story.
Or do. I mean, if that's what you want. Won't end well for you.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so that is all of my questions. So any last thoughts on VidSummit that we haven't talked about?
Last thoughts on VidSummit. I have a question for you, and possibly opening a goal for you.
Okay.
Let's see. How long is it going to take for you to be on one of those VidSummit stages?
Ooh, oh boy. I don't know, but I would love to do that. But you know what? I was actually thinking the other day, like, I think they could benefit from having some like smaller creators on stage, on
All
like
you
as
have
a
to do is
speaker.
apply.
True. I could apply.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because as you said, some of the speakers aren't even creators.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, yeah. There's a question I've been thinking about, and I'm like, I'm gonna ask her. So I figure if that isn't a goal of yours, it might be
It
in
is
the future.
now.
Yeah. See, there you go. There you go.
But I
Yeah.
was actually thinking like, I think they could benefit from having speakers that are smaller creators because
Hmm?
um so I mean we were talking about how, the bigger creators they talk to you like you're a creator of their size. So they don't forget where they came from. But they may not always remember what it's like, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like it might be so far, they might be so far removed from being like a small creator that they won't always remember like the little things that smaller creators have to go through, or like what they're facing right now.
Yeah.
Because content creation changes every single day. So they might not even know what smaller creators are facing right now, like the challenges they're facing right now, because they're not small creators right now. They
A lot
might
of the
not
big
even know.
creators, a lot
Uh-huh.
of the big creators came up, years ago,
Yeah.
and we all know that the algorithm in YouTube, at bare minimum, changes once a year.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, the struggles and the mountains that they had to climb are way different than what we're seeing
Exactly.
today.
Yeah. So they might not even know some of the challenges that smaller creators are facing today. Like, and then this also goes back to what we were saying before, when, a smaller creator could tell them all day long what the challenges they're facing are, but unless you're actually experiencing it for yourself, you don't actually know what it's like.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long will it take me to be on stage of it? Oh man. Hmm. I don't know. I don't know how long it would take. I would certainly love to do that though. Maybe like another 5 years.
How about Rebecca 2026?
Really?
Well, you're saying
two
5 years, and
years.
I think you can get it way faster than 5 years.
Really?
I
Hmm.
do.
Oh,
Rebecca
you are a good
2026,
friend.
y'all.
Thank you for that. I appreciate
VidSummit
that.
Rebecca 2026. We got to get you t-shirts.
Yes, we should.
Uh, oh yeah. You just gotta have that goal to get there.
True.
I
All
see
right.
this. Go ahead.
So, oh, well, I was just going to say, any other last thoughts?
No, just can't wait to get Rebecca MC on stage, even if it's just as an MC. Hey, check that Rebecca MC
Oh,
MC. Oh.
yeah, I could definitely market myself that way. Okay, so enough about VidSummit because we've talked quite a bit about VidSummit. So, Will, what do you have coming up or on your channel that you want people to know about?
Okay, so you know what? I'm going to give you something here that I haven't even given my audience yet.
Oh, okay.
Um, I'm working on a new project that should be launching within the next 30 days.
Oh,
And I am actually stepping back from my video game streaming. I'm still going to be doing it, but at a much, much smaller and more inconsistent basis. I am starting a podcast called Hello, My Name Is, where I interview people and about their life and their life story. I sit back and I think, as you know, even Rebecca said earlier, which made me smile, everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. So hearing those stories and being able to ask questions to dig a little deeper and to be able to learn lessons from other people in their situations, because we're all different. So a podcast will be a video podcast and audio. Releasing on day one, will be releasing on Apple Podcast, Spotify, a couple other podcast websites, as well as YouTube.
Nice. I love that idea. I love the name.
Thank you. Okay.
All
And
right.
if you do follow me on some of the social medias and on YouTube, you'll see some posts and some voting for the logo for that podcast. So if you want to have a little say in how that goes, make sure you go and you search those out, see if you can find them and drop your vote.
All right, guys, please be on the lookout for that podcast. That sounds awesome. I will have all of Will's links in the description below, so please go check out his channel and his socials and everything. Thank you so much, Will, for being here. It was really fun discussing VidSummit, and I mean, it's always fun discussing anything with you. But thank you so much. And now this is the part where you say, fun discussing with you too, Rebecca.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. Yes, no, it is. It's always fun being on your podcast. I
appreciate that.
A joy. We could talk probably for another 2 hours just about anything, games and
right.
whatnot.
Yeah, seriously.
Going rambling, but we don't want to keep them for too long.
Yeah, we don't. We don't want people to get bored. Okay, all right, guys. Thank you so much for watching or listening. If you're just listening to this, thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.